Rosemary Goudreau O'Hara is an award-winning journalist and a longtime observer of Florida politics. She was the editorial page editor at the Tampa Tribune. Currently, she's the editorial page editor for the South Florida Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale. And Rosemary, welcome back. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Rob.
So I want to talk about the case of Frank Artiles. He turned himself in. He's a former state senator. He apparently paid somebody at least $44,000 or $45,000 to run as a third candidate in a three-way state senate election, and the two of the candidates had the same last name. Apparently, this worked. Now, how often does this happen in Florida politics, where somebody is paid to be a sham candidate?
You know, it's not really clear how often it's happened. In the past, where we suspect it happens is as write-in candidates. So a write-in candidate can close a primary so the other people in the other party can't vote. And these write-in candidates come out of nowhere. Nobody knows who they are, but they are shills to protect the party primary. But this case has really rocked South Florida, and it's good to see prosecutor Tallahassee has not taken it seriously. This is voter fraud. This is election fraud in Florida. And what is Tallahassee doing? You know, they're not talking about this. They're talking about trying to change laws for things that weren't a problem, fix things that weren't even a problem. The shame of this is that Miami-Dade had a state senator, Jose Javier Rodriguez, who was a really good state senator, a Democrat. He wore rain boots to the Florida legislature every day to highlight the issue of climate change. And he was somebody who the Republicans wanted to take out in order to increase their majority. And so Artiles is charged with having drafted somebody who had the same last name, Rodriguez. The guy was able to, switch from Republican to NPA. He didn't even live in the district. And we have been pounding the table down here about this election fraud, which now we know money changed hands. He was recruited, allegedly. But, in Tallahassee, they are, mum's the word about what happened and how do we protect the integrity of our elections. Instead, they're wanting to dismiss people's absentee ballot requests and prevent them from being able to drop them off in drop-in boxes.
The Florida Democratic Party wants a new election. They want the current Republican senator to step down because there was, they say, fraud in the election, and they want a new one. What are the chances that that happens?
Zip, zero, and nada. She didn't do any. Ileana Garcia, she didn't do anything wrong. She won the election. So I don't see there being any chance that it will be upended.
It was a squeaker, 32 votes. So let me ask you.
That guy, the sham candidate pulled 6,000 votes. So he was the difference maker. He won. But it is good that Artiles is charged with a felony, but it's just a third-degree felony. So, I think what the legislature needs to show it's serious about election fraud and deal what's really happening on the ground in Florida.
There's a lot of talk this week about Governor DeSantis. There was a poll in Iowa this week that said that if Donald Trump were not in the presidential race, that Ron DeSantis would be the #1 Republican candidate in Iowa in the primary. He's gotten, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the vaccine distribution, but he's gotten a lot of praise, too, for not shutting down the state, and the economy's really good. So what do you think about DeSantis as a possible presidential nominee in the Republican Party?
I think there's no question but that he's positioning himself to run and that he will be, is obviously a strong competitor. He holds the bully pulpit in Florida, and he holds the bully pulpit on Fox News. So he's able to manage the message. In some ways, I feel like he got lucky. At a time when public health officials were telling us to wear masks and social distance, he didn't want to issue a statewide mask order. So where is our death rate? Florida's death rate, what, I think it's 23rd or 24th in the nation. So we're not the worst, but we're in the middle. So that's a good thing. But he's able to manage the message, spin the numbers, and but it is true that unlike northern states that have had a brutal winter, we've been able to be out and about, and being in the fresh air is not the danger that we initially thought when they were trying to close the beaches. So people are moving to Florida and opening businesses in Florida, and I guess that's to his credit.
Rosemary, one last question. The state legislature wants to change the way Bright Futures scholarships are handed out. For some degrees, they want to give less money. For other degrees, they want to give the same amount of money they originally promised the parents. What do you think about the proposed changes to Bright Futures scholarships?
Well, I think that from what we know, the governor deserves credit on that because he said he's not in favor of it. So I don't know what the chances are. But, it's like we all need to be engineers now if we want Florida to fulfill its promise, the commitment that it made to keep the best and brightest. And it's not just engineers who are our best and brightest. It's also lovers of the art and authors and journalists, too. We would only get half of our credit hours paid for under this proposal. So I guess we're going to have to just start calling ourselves journalist engineers.
Rosemary, it's great to see you. I understand you're moving back to the Tampa Bay area. I can't wait to see you in person. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Rob. It's great to be here. Can't wait to be back in Tampa.